Beware the Broncos. For years, Boise State was a perennial national title BCS Bowl contender. But the Broncos have fallen off over the last few years with just one New Year's Six Bowl appearance since 2014. But that could all change this year. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. So glad you could join us today to break down the Boise State Broncos, the reigning Mountain West champions, looking to make the 12-team college football playoff. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our exclusive expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the country. We are beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years. We will make it 7 by the end of this year. So go sign up for those today. Become a member of our GE Nation. Win big with us today. The earlier you sign up, the better. And the season's going to be here in just a few weeks, so you're running out of time. Sign up at any time, but you want to get your money's worth. You want to get every single game we put out. You can do that right now. So Boise State, guys, I am pumped for this team, man. I am so excited for Boise State. I think college football is better when the Broncos are thriving. Those late 2000s, early 2010 period where they were, again, a perennial national title contender. They were BCS Bowl contenders, making Fiesta Bowls. And, at one point was like number third in the country. Kellen Moore and that offense under Chris Peterson. They were just fun to watch. And while I might not get back to that exact form, this team is a legitimate contender to make the college football playoff in 2024. 8-6 last year for the Broncos, won the Mountain West Conference. And what's more impressive about that is they fired their head coach late in the season. They fire Andy Avalos. They promote their defensive coordinator, Spencer Danielson, to the interim head coach. He goes 3-0 down the stretch, wins the Mountain West Championship, loses their bowl game to UCLA, gets the interim tag removed, and Danielson's got this team with a lot of momentum heading into this season. You take a look at the offense. I freaking love it. I love Boise State's offense this year. They've got a very dangerous quarterback. 5-star transfer, Malachi Nelson, coming in from USC. This guy can sling it. He's hardly seen the field, really hasn't played that much, but he is dangerous if he lives up to his hype, and I believe he will. He's got a great arm. He's going to be perfect for this Boise State offense, and he's got weapons surrounding him, including one of the best running backs, not just in the Mountain West, but in the entire country. Ashton Jeanty rushed for over 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns last year, and also had over 500 reception yards. So he is not just a dangerous running back, he is a dangerous pass-catching back. This is going to be a dangerous offense just with those two alone. But then you look at what else the Broncos have. Latrell Caples comes back. He was out for the year last season after being a fourth-team Mountain West selection in 2022. He's back at wide receiver, and they return 4 offensive linemen after giving up just 16 sacks. So they're going to have a great line to open up holes for Jeanty. They're going to have a great line to protect Nelson. And they've got a dangerous wide receiver coming back from an injury, anxious to redeem himself, anxious to get back on the field. This Boise State offense will thrive. Defensively, Danielson's a defensive-minded coach. They've got all the talent in the world. Everybody's back, man. Everybody's back. 6 of their top 7 tacklers do return, including their top 4, led by Alexander Tubner in the secondary. You got Ahmed Hassanin returning on the defensive line, 12.5 sacks last year alone. 12.5 sacks just last season. Andrew Simpson had 6.5 sacks at linebacker. Amarian McCoy had 3 interceptions, leading the team last year in the secondary. This is Boise State defense, has the best defensive line in the Mountain West Conference, has a very dangerous linebacking core, and a very underrated secondary. They only gave up 135 rushing yards per game last year. Those numbers are going to improve significantly. They've got the offense to light you up on the scoreboard. They've got the defense to prevent you from getting on the scoreboard. And they've got one heck of a schedule where Boise State, even if they slip up once, could still find themselves in to that 12-team college football playoff. And I guarantee you, nobody wants to see this Boise State team in the first round of the playoff. You take a look at their schedule. The one thing I don't like about it is they don't have a home game until technically, week 4? 2 road games to open up the year, and then a bye week. So they do not get to play in front of their home crowd. Their home crowd, the reigning champions, don't get to play at home on the Smurf turf until September 21st. I will say they beat Georgia Southern, though. Week 1 at Georgia Southern. Don't sleep on the Eagles, a team that has a very good offense. They will test this Boise State defense. We'll really see if the Broncos can live up to that defensive hype. The Eagles were giving up or were putting up 419 yards per game last year, including over 300 through the air. They've got a relatively new quarterback. The defense gave up over 160 rushing yards per game. I truly believe Boise State owns the edge in every aspect of this game with the exception of home field advantage, and they can overcome that. So they will be 1-0. They're going to be 1-1 when they lose to Oregon. Don't try to get cute and say that Boise State's going to beat Oregon this year. It's not happening. They're not going into Eugene and beating one of the best, if not the best team in the Big Ten, a team that is a national title contender with Dylan Gabriel, a loaded offense, a ridiculous defense loaded with transfers. Ironically, Boise State is 3-0 against the Ducks all time. That will change this year. The Broncos actually are 1-6 against Power 5 opponents in the last 5 years. So they have not fared well against Power 5 teams as of late, regardless of who the coach has been. Even last year, season opener against Washington, the national runner-up, they lost 56-19. So the Broncos maybe still aren't quite there yet to beat some of the better Power 5 teams in the country. 1-6 last 5 years. They will lose to Oregon, and it will be handily, very similar to that Washington game we saw just last season. But they're 1-1 coming into the bye week, and then I ask you, I say, look at the schedule. Look at the rest of the schedule. They play 2 games at home against Washington State and Oregon State, the honorary Mountain West Conference members this year. Neither game will count towards the conference standings, but they're kind of conference members this year. And I ask you, after the bye week, after that 1-1 start, I ask you, where does Boise State lose? Where do they lose? I'm here to tell you they don't. They're not going to. They're going to go 11-1. And I'll breeze through it. They're going to cruise past Portland State. Boom, 2-1. Washington State, my only concern for Washington State is maybe the offense is going to be a little bit better than we realize. Maybe the offense is going to be able to put up some numbers against this Boise State team, but this is a Washington State team that loses Cam Ward, loses a lot of talent at the wide receiver position, loses a lot of talent, period, because they don't really belong to a conference right now. So Jake Dickert's got his handful with a team that's kind of devoid, not fully of talent, but with a lot of new faces. And you're asking them to come on to the Smurf turf in the second home game of the year. It's just not happening. So they will beat Washington State. They will cruise past Utah State, who they beat by 35 last year and now is in a complete state of disarray after the whole Blake Anderson scandal. So they are now, 4-1? They are 4-1. They go on the road to Hawaii. They've won 9 straight games against the Rainbow Warriors. 9 straight games. And while the Rainbow Warriors will improve significantly this year, maybe even flirt with a bowl game, they do not have enough to take down this Boise State team, especially defensively, do not have enough to slow down this Boise State offense. They come out of the bye week, UNLV. UNLV is probably the toughest game left on their schedule. UNLV, it's probably the only game after the loss to Oregon where you might say, maybe Boise State drops a game. And ironically, their playoff hopes could hinge on this. I'm not sure if a 2-loss Boise State team, even if one of those losses is to Oregon, who could be a number 1 seed, I'm not sure if they'll get in with that. So the UNLV game is huge. But the Broncos crushed the Rebels last year, 44-20 in the Mountain West Championship game. They held that electric UNLV offense to just 298 yards. They averaged 413 on the year. So they held them to 115 yards less than they were averaging in every other game. That Boise State defense showed up to play. Now the Rebels have a brand new quarterback. Their defense was not that good, giving up over 400 yards per game defensively. They're 6-0 against UNLV. I don't like the Rebels in this game. They're going to be good. They might meet again in the Mountain West Championship game. But Boise is going to win on the road on October 26th and fresh off a bye week, well rested for one of the biggest games of the year. So they win that one. They'll cruise past San Diego State. Yeah, they only won by 3 last year, but the Aztecs don't use recency bias. The Aztecs are not the teams of old. They don't have a lot of talent. They've got a first-year head coach in Sean Lewis. They're not going to be that great, and Boise gets them at home. They're going to cruise past Nevada, who's one of the worst teams, if not the worst team, in the Mountain West Conference this year. They're going to cruise past San Jose State, who is dealing with a brand new head coach, Ken Numatalolo, the former Navy head coach, taking over for the Spartans now. A Spartans team that now only brings back 7 total starters. Boise survived 35-27 last year. Yes, it's on the road. Their first road game since October 26th, almost a full month away. Don't think they're going to have any issues with the San Jose State team that I do think struggles quite a bit with a lot of questions on the roster and a brand new coaching staff. At Wyoming, maybe a tough test there. Laramie, not an easy place to play, but they also have a brand new head coach, and I don't have a lot of faith in their passing game. So Boise State's defense, they arguably have the best defensive line in the conference, can shut down the Wyoming run game, which I believe they will. They're going to force the Cowboys to win the game through the air. They're not going to be able to do it. Boise is going to walk away with a win against the Cowboys. They are looking good. And then the last game of the year to cap off an 11-1 season is at home on Senior Day against Oregon State, who's in a very similar position to that of Washington State, where they really don't have a conference. They lost tons of talent, such as their top 8 players on defense, top 8 tacklers, their top 4 pass catchers, their quarterback, and their top 6 rushers, the Beavers are going to make a bowl game. Washington State is going to make a bowl game. But Boise State, to me, is significantly more talented than both those teams, and both those teams have to come to the Smurf turf. They are not losing those games. And the Broncos definitely are not losing that game on Senior Day with a potential playoff berth on the line. So with all that being said, guys, this feels like a team of destiny. The schedule is lining up great. The talent is there. The momentum is there. Everything is shaping up for a big year from Boise State. I've got them at 11-1. Only loss coming to Oregon. I don't think really anybody's going to dispute that. If they're going to lose a conference game, it's probably going to come on the road to UNLV or Wyoming. I don't feel like either of those are going to be that close. Maybe 14 points, 10 points maybe. Boise State should take care of business in those games. This team has it. And this team, I think, could be the Group of 5 representative in the college football playoff. They might have to anxiously await their fate on Selection Sunday, and you'll have to anxiously await to see what we believe with our official playoff predictions coming out here in just a few days. But this Boise State team, love them to death. I think for me right now, they are my top Group of 5 team. As of right now, they should be the top Group of 5 team by season's end, and this could be the start of Boise State's return to maybe national relevancy, if you want to call it that. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to those expert picks. The earlier you sign up for those, the better it's going to be for you. The season just a few weeks away. So go ahead, go sign up. Some of the best picks in the country for one of the lowest prices in the country. Become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.